Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Play Arts Kai DC variant Harley Quinn. Another one that I was really looking forward to. If you watched my Joker review, then you know that these two are both really good figures. I was excited for these and I was not disappointed. I'm not often disappointed with the Play Arts Kai figures, but every once in a while I think one slips through the cracks. But overall it's a really good line, and this is a perfect example of why. Before we do anything else, let's just do a quick look at Joker with her. So she's a little bit shorter than Joker. So scale-wise, I think that's pretty good. You know, it's who knows how tall they're supposed to be. Plus, it's a variant line, so that she could be 10 feet tall if they wanted her to be. So that's fine with me. She's a little bit shorter. Girls are typically a little bit shorter than boys. If you guys don't know that, then I can't help you. I'm happy with it. She comes with some accessories, first of which is the standard Play Arts Kai display stage. It comes on the back of the card. On the inside the box on a card, which I'm not gonna take out. She also comes with a big hammer, which looks really cool. It's a nice accessory for her. The handles have this nice shading on them. The metallic red has a nice shading on them. Cool bottom part here. Hammer itself looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, mine was glued on crooked. Do you guys see that? I think the red part glues into this silver sockety looking thing, and mine was glued on crooked. That's disappointing, but I'm sure that's not going to be a common issue, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It does look like it's been whacked on a few things, so that's kind of cool looking, and it's very metallic. So very nice accessory. And then of course she also comes with hands to hold that big mallet, and you can see the little diamonds on there. So she has those hands, and she has these loose, relaxed hands, and that's it for the accessories. So like I said with Joker, I think they probably saved a little bit of money on these two smaller figures so they could really dump it into the armored Batman. I am okay with that. If you don't know how that works, oftentimes in a line of action figures you will save money on one figure so that you have more money to spend on another figure. So you kind of have to have that sacrifice here and there. So I'm okay with that. I don't think I gave you guys an actual height measurement yet, so let's go ahead and do that. She's about maybe 9 3/4 if you really stretch her out and make sure she's standing perfectly right. So that's about a half of an inch shorter than Joker if you saw that review. And this one just looks great. Some people were complaining that she was gonna not look right being blue instead of black and red. I think it looks great. I think it looks really, really good. Very cool looking, very anime-esque. I was expecting, when we first saw the black and white version, the grayscale test shot type figure, I was expecting to only have painted parts on this kind of bustier, I think that's what it's called, type thing, and then some of these like straps and things. I was expecting a lot more cleavage, and I'm okay that there's not there. I'm just saying, some people say these are overly sexualized. I think they definitely could have made this way more sexualized, and they didn't, so you guys can zip it. It's a great looking figure. Who cares if she's got some skin showing here and there, which is really just that bit. So I don't know, I think it's alright. Anyway, the paint job is great for the most part. On this one there's a few missed spots, like right here. These little white areas that are supposed to have the silver diamonds on them. The diamonds are not centered like they are on that one. They're sculpted centered, but the paint's off. Again, that's probably not going to be a common issue, so I wouldn't worry about that. Just something I noticed. She's mostly got this kind of semi-glossy, metallic-looking leather look to her outfit. And then some of it is really metallic, like this part here, and then on the arm, the little balls on the ends of her ear things. Some bits of armor throughout. So some of it's really metallic, some of it's a little bit extra glossy, some of it's not. It's meant to look like a bunch of different materials, and it does a really good job of that. This white part up here is metallic. It's kind of pearly with a little bit of a silvery blue shading to it. That looks really cool. I love that bit of this outfit. It really stands out. I think it looks nice. So very nice design choice. I really like the design choices in the head, actually on all of this figure. I think it's just a really nice character design. Very well done. I don't know the individual, I know it says on the box, but I didn't look. The individuals who actually came up with this concept for her, but they really knocked it out of the park. I think it's great. Especially the face. Really nice look for Harley Quinn, even though it's not your classic Harley Quinn, looks really good. Alright, let's get into the articulation. We have a double ball peg in the neck. Not as much range of motion due to this. These are a little bit soft, but not entirely soft, so you're going to have to be a little bit careful posing her. You can still get pretty good range of motion out of it. I'm happy with that. Definitely good enough. And then the neck is articulated with at least a single ball peg, probably a double ball peg at the bottom also. And the upper collar, this red and blue collar, is connected to the neck, so that'll move with it. So you should have no problem posing her head at all. She looks good, and you actually won't even get a big gap in there, and she'll be able to pose just fine. I didn't mention it. The eyes are painted really well, and then there's kind of like a blush on her cheeks. That looks really good too against that white face paint. Very nicely done. For the shoulders, we have that same type of joint as Joker, so it's a ball hinge, and it pegs into her body, so that's where we're going to get this motion, and you can bring your arms around a little bit because of that. That's our butterfly joint now. You can see the ball hinge back there, if the camera will focus. So that's that. It does work just fine. You can bring the arm across that far, so that works all right, and that's also the joint that lets her raise her arm. And then we also have that swivel that's built into that as well. And we have a really nicely hidden bicep swivel, which I just love the sculpt on this. I love that that's hiding a joint. It just looks so good. So that's awesome. I love the way they did the arm on this figure. This is soft enough to allow for posability also. It's just not super soft. So you can see it'll move just fine. We have our standard Play Arts Kai style elbow, so that'll swivel in the bicep like this, swivel in the forearm like this, and then of course it's our hinge. Same type of joint for the wrist, except it's only a 2-parter instead of a 3-parter. Like I said on Joker, these are a little more fragile, but for a smaller figure like this, I think it'll be okay. It shouldn't have too much breakage, and it's not like the hands are extra tight or anything, so that's good. This part is sculpted onto the forearm, but it shouldn't inhibit the posability at all, so I don't think it really needed to be a separate piece, so I'm okay with that. It looks pretty good. So far, I don't really have any complaints. Her upper body is a separate piece, just like on Darkseid and Joker. Everything that you see is a softer plastic on top of an inner body. You can kind of see that in there, which is fine. It works just fine for her, no problem at all. I do wish that somehow they were able to give us a little bit better range of motion on the ab crunch. That's as far as mine can go. So unless I'm doing something wrong, that's it. Not a big deal, of course, but it would have been nice to get her to be able to bend over a little bit more for a more dynamic pose. But she leans back a little bit, so that's okay. And she can lean side to side. You just have to kind of finagle it, and then it'll go. So the side to side is actually better than the forward and back. So, you know, maybe they just sacrificed one for the other. I don't know how that works. It's not bad either way, so I'm okay. And then the full rotation is good, so that's fine. And then we have our lower torso joint, where it's just a single ball peg going into the torso. That moves around pretty well, goes pretty far back, so we can do that. It depends on where the hips are, of course, because they all have to move around inside that area, but it's got pretty good range of motion. We do get our rotation out of it, so I am pretty happy with that. We have this kind of a skirt thing going on, and I'll pull that off so you can see. The joints are connected to the torso, so that's going to inhibit some side-to-side movement, but I guess that's okay. Don't really need that much anyway, especially when it's all up there. And these just peg in on this type of joint, just like the wrist, so you can move these around and do whatever you want with those. And it is a soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about that getting in the way of anything. You're probably thinking her hips look a little bit weird because it kind of goes out and then in and then out again. But that's just so that they could fit the articulation in here without making her hips look humongous. So that's perfectly fine. Don't worry about that. You're not going to pose her like that anyway, so that's okay. It's just a little bit narrow on here to account for these, which is a good call. I'm glad that they didn't sculpt it normally and have these stick out like somebody from the, 1880s. Let's go 1880s, why not? Okay, so yeah, this is still a floating piece, just like every other Play Arts figure. It's just a little tighter because of these. Hips still work wonderfully. We can bring the legs all the way forward. Depending on how you have the body tucked in on the inside, that will determine how much you can actually move the legs, but definitely no problems. You can get the legs all the way out, so you can do a high kick if you want to. We do have our thigh swivel built in. Her knees, pretty darn good. They are a little bit limited, not limited, a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Less sleek looking than Joker's, just because she has a smaller kneecap, and then she has these flappy things going on for her boots. So they look really good when the legs are straight. when you open them up, you do get a little bit of gapping going on up here, but it's definitely not a big deal, and they're definitely on the upswing of knee joints from the Square Enix Play Arts Kai figures. These look way better. They're definitely good enough for me. I'm perfectly happy with those. And then our ankles, just like Joker, we have that ball hinge so we can move the foot around however we want to, really. We can get a full-on ankle rocker if we want to, or we can bring the foot around going up, going back, whatever you want to do. And then this is another floating ankle cover, which I really love that they are hiding the ankle joints without limiting them. You still have full posability, and they look good. Can't really ask for anything more. This is another one of those top of the list Play Arts Kai figures that I've owned. Definitely pleased with it. Definitely recommend it 100%. I'll post some photos here at the end so you guys can see her in action, and then I will do my DC variant Play Art Kai collection video once I get the armored Batman in, so stay tuned for that, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for all the other figure reviews and custom figures and other fun stuff that I will be doing. And in the meantime, keep collecting.